Warm welcome to Mr. Ajay Kedare. Now let me give a quick introduction about him. He is an alumnus of IIT Bombay, one of the premier institutions of India. He has worked in companies like Oracle, Infosys, and is currently a successful software engineer at PayPal India. So once again, Ajay, I warmly welcome you on behalf of CantileverLabs.
Thank you so much, Smita, and thank you so much, CantileverLabs, for having me today as a guest mentor. Right, it's a huge opportunity for me.
So Ajay, for a lot of people who are perhaps they're not targeting IIT or whatever, right? How can they prepare themselves in terms of cracking those interviews, cracking those exams and stuff like that? So how should you prepare mentally in terms of because success and failure, it's both part of life, right? So how do you prepare yourself mentally for that?
That's very much true, Sumita. Right. So, any competitive examination you take, so maybe a GATE, maybe IIT JEE, or even the UPSCs, right? The patience is the key factor. So you
Yes.
should have a lot of patience, perseverance to, and a vision and passion to go for that particular goal, right? So whether it is IITs or UPSCs, so you will get the failures. Even for failed for 3 years consecutively, I couldn't crack the IITs, but I never give up, and which
Yes.
actually helped me to go for and pursue my passion, right? So just two mantras I would say: just be clear in your mind that you have to do it, and be don't give up at any point, and you will definitely get it. There is nothing impossible in these words. Which after getting into IITs, I realized that proverb, right? So that's really true actually.
So Ajay, now since you already had a dream in front of you, right? You were very sure that this is what you want to do in future. So how did you prepare yourself in college? So what sort of projects did you do so that it helped you in future?
Correct, yeah. So in any colleges, right? So not just about this software development project, so not just computer science project, right? So I know I already into IITs in the computer science branch, right? So it's already my dream came true, but it's not the end of the journey. I form and get my final goal, right? So it's not the just one thing that you are now into IITs and you don't have to do anything. So you have to keep learning, you have to keep reskilling yourself. You have to whatever you learn, right? So learn it from the heart and don't just there could be some instances, right? People will just get into colleges, but couldn't able to learn too much. Maybe they will some fail in some of the subjects, right? So that should not happen. Once you are there, right? So you should do it with your passion and
Yeah.
all your heart. That's what right word. Thanks, Smita. Yeah. So that's what I wanted to say. Yeah.
Got Mr. Varun Kumar Srivastav. He is welcome to the live. Let me give a quick introduction of Varun. So Varun is an alumnus of IIM Kashipur. He has an extensive work experience of 10 years. Yes, you heard it right, guys. He has worked for 10 years in many different brands. He has worked with Infosys, he has worked with Hero Motocorp, Interglobe Aviation, and many, many more. Currently, he works as a freelance consultant in the field of pricing and analytics. So what should you do to become a well-paid data scientist? Now, how much coding knowledge is required? And do you need to be good in maths?
So, see, math and stats is something that you need to be a little bit well-versed when you want to enter into a data science field. You can't escape these two things. Once you are familiar with, once your basics are clear in these mathematical and statistical concepts, and coding is also, then comes the coding part actually. You can't escape. And you have to be good in coding, but coding has, you don't need to be a proper software programmer or a Python programmer in order to become a data scientist. What is more important for a data scientist is to be familiar with these statistical techniques, mathematical techniques, and algorithms associated with it. The rest other things are supplements, you may say.
Varun is one of our highly rated mentors of CantileverLabs. And Varun, I want to ask you this. What is the difference between a student who has received a good mentorship versus a student who has received no mentorship per se? So what do you think? What are the differences? Yeah. What you have observed from your personal experience? Yes.
Yeah. So this question is kind of similar to what is difference between you and the students who have been mentored in this part of this program. So it's all about the time and the, structured guidance that you receive with this particular program. Now, when I started my career in data science, nobody was there to guide me or tell me the right resource or to, what was the approach that you should be taking in order to, get good in this particular field. So, I was, going through all these websites like Coursera, Udemy, and learning from there, trying to do these many projects as much as I can. But now what I have learned from these particular, my experience is that you don't need to be, wasting your time to many resources. You start from a particular point, grab those particular concepts, pick a good book or a good course which is already available in the platforms, then immediately jump to those doing those data science projects. Okay, and whatever the learnings that you get by doing these hands-on projects is immense. And ultimately, whatever your interview experiences, whatever the role that you are expecting in future lies somewhat around these particular paths. So, when you are starting with these basics, when you start doing these basic projects, that actually also gives you an idea whether you really want to pursue your career in data science or not, whether it's really your cup of tea or not. It doesn't make sense for you to spend 40,000, 50,000 on 1 lakh rupee fees doing PGs from so and so colleges, and then in the mid of the semester you realize that you have wasted your money and effort, and you don't know. Exactly. So, these are some of the issues that we as a mentor try to help those students. And they should also recognize that we are trying to highlight how the market really looks like for the current scenario. Okay, and what are the companies expect from them. So it doesn't matter if you are doing some advanced projects in deep learning unless you are able to justify me whether I should really use the deep learning concepts. Why should not I use a basic algorithm to solve my problem? You will be tanked. You will be tanking your interview, and if you don't familiar with basic assumptions of doing a particular model, you will be tanking your interview. So these are some of the basics that we as a mentor have been trying to highlight here. We have to gauge, help students through these books that we have used, and most importantly, how they should be communicating the finding to the industry. Now, this is also one of the most important aspect that I wanted to cover. That whatever projects that you are doing, you should be able to communicate those findings in a way that a person from a non-analytical or non-machine learning background should be able to understand.
Yes.
Because there are going to be there is 100% there is going to be a scenario wherein you will be asked to project your you will be asked to submit your projects or the key findings or the key tasks that you have under management, someone from the higher management. So you might clear your technical interviews, you might clear your written rounds unless you are able to communicate your findings in plain English to the higher management. They won't be able to appreciate everything in these particular projects. So communication, and I'm not saying communication in English, communication of these insights in plain English is the key for them to succeed in any data science interview.
Today we are doing finance. We have Siddharth Lahiri with us. How to prepare for guesstimates for interview?
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a very big question. That's a very good question actually. It's almost part of every interview. Any non-tech, probably tech as well. Any non-tech interview, guesstimate are a standard way to check a person's analytical ability, their problem-solving ability, their ability to handle pressure, as well as their communication. So, like guesstimate fits right place. So it's very important. How you can do it? Probably how you do any other thing. There are n number of resources online, so you can start working on that. Right.
So
yeah, sure.
How do you think students can benefit from joining or associating with CantileverLabs? As a mentor, what has your experience been like?
Yeah, so I think I have been a student, like everybody have been a student, and this is what we were missing at probably during our preparation days. It's something that I can very well vouch for. Though we have friends, probably what we have is friends who is like probably 1 year senior to us, or max to max 2 years seniors to us. But during career and all, we need guidance for people who have seen that particular thing for 2, 3, more than 3 years. And that particular network is not available and definitely more difficult to access to during virtual time. Physically, at least at physical world, if you're at a campus, if you're a hostel, you might see a third year or a fourth year. You're a first year, you can find a fourth year guy in your canteen. You go and talk to them. It's 10 times more difficult to do that online. And this is where I think CantileverLabs come and bridges that gap of knowledge that is very vastly available in a certain age group, but not really translating down to people who are graduating. So that particular knowledge gap can actually help a student strategize their interview process, their preparation process much better. And instead of being, trying everything out, can actually effectively use this time to build a better, I would say, strategy to prepare for interviews. And my experience with CantileverLabs, the team is extremely professional and they have the heart at the right place. And I think those things are very necessary when they're building such a large problem.
Cool. I think all of these mentorship programs or sort of a lot of other programs that even CantileverLabs is trying to launch soon. I think we're trying to bridge that gap between the students, what is expected out of the students and what the industry demands. And we were just discussing how important mentorship is. So if you're deciding what companies you're going to go for in your placement, right? You're nervous before your placement, or you need that invaluable guidance. I think that's where the mentors come in, and that's where the mentors sort of hold your hand and help you move forward. So I think I'm very happy to share that CantileverLabs has been instrumental in guiding the All India Rank 1 student for his dream career. He secured a package of 1.5 crores, which is quite commendable. Since you as a student would like to have a one-on-one mentorship as well, you would like to get that guidance, CantileverLabs is launching this with your favorite mentors.